Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target morning brief where we invest with military precision. If you are catching this on replay, thanks for checking us out. If you want a free trial for the room, just go ahead and contact me at steve@ototnow.com. We've got room for you. This is an investment forum where we talk about long-term stuff. We talk about some day trades. I'll call trades for you. We have a couple beautiful setups today. And then we go back to the long term, and I always finish with a question of the day. So I say it's like 50% informational, 30% long term, and then 20% short term day trading is the value of being in our membership here. We have a chat window that's open. You don't see that on the replay. We also have a Q&A window that's open that you don't see on the replay. So folks in the room are throwing their ideas out there. I will comment on every single idea that we get, and we can all learn that way. So if you want to join us, again, reach out. It is anonymous, so you see there, please use the call sign. This is entirely set up as a fighter pilot brief, and that's by design. I don't care who you are. I just want your ideas, and we'll go from there. All right, mission objectives this morning. We're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today's tactical objectives are kind of protecting our money, really, because Trump increased the rhetoric. He's been going back and forth with the TikTok China situation, and that's only getting stronger. Now, I will tell you that this, in my opinion, is the warm-up round for if he gets elected in 3 months from, 3 months from a couple days ago. All we're going to see is the China beatdown of justice, in my opinion. He will do everything that he really wanted to do but couldn't get done in his first term. So probably still in round one here. For our question of the day, we're going to talk about what options do you have for your 401k or your thrift savings plan, 403b. That's our question of the day. Again, I like to cover those so folks know what options they have out there. For our flow today, we're going to go long, short, open, short, long. What that means to you is we're going to talk about the long-term themes of the day. Where have we been over the past year? Where have we been over the past week? And what earnings are out this morning? Then we're going to talk about some short-term, what's setting up for some day trading opportunities. We'll hear our favorite bell. Then we'll follow through on those short trading opportunities, get out of those trades, win or lose. We're going to get out of them so we can move on back into long-term stuff and then on into the Q&A. You can see the 6 names that were up there. 10 Cent Holdings is the one that's really in the news today, but the others are all affected by this, by Trump's rhetoric with 10 Cent Holdings. So, you'll see why once we get to that in about 8 minutes. All right, for contingencies, if you're having any tech support issues or trouble hearing, seeing, or whatever, reach out to steve@otot.now. I have my staff standing by to help you out. And lastly, this standard disclaimer of the day is this is an educational briefing. I don't know your personal situation, so you have to take everything you hear in this situation and do your own due diligence before acting upon this. All right, let's go up to the TD Ameritrade screen where we're going to take a look at the S&P 500 one-year chart. You can see it there left to right, really focusing on what's been going on recently. And you see the AI-generated trend lines there that are saying we're in an up channel. If you look closely, we actually exited that channel, if you were to extrapolate it out, to the upside yesterday. I have for about the past 5 days saying we are due for a big red day and been completely wrong on all 5 of those days. And I thought for sure today would be a big red day until we had that jobs blowout number, which we'll get to here in a minute. I still think we're in the red. I think the risk is at just so increased now from where we are and how much things have moved up. Let's take a look at the Qs when you want to say how much have things moved up. Well, the NASDAQ, again, is tech heavy. So they're really, even though they're still in channel there, just look at how much higher they were back from February. And then, of course, about double from, not quite double from the bottom, but a lot of those stocks have doubled since the March 23rd lows. So overall, it's time to move to safety. If you remember back to my presentation I sent out on March 22nd that I said lock and load, I was a day early. I've been calling for safety here for about a week, so it appears I'm going to be about a week early, but I don't think I'm a month early. So literally hanging it out there. You can go back to the S&P 500. Literally, go to the 5-day look, which is what you're going to see popping up now. Literally continuing to take risk here is that proverbial picking up pennies in front of the steamroller. I think you're being greedy. You should be locking away gains where you can with tax consequences considered, of course. But yeah, we've had a good run. And I don't care where we are in the next week or month, but where are we now in relation to where are we on December 31st? I think we're lower on December 31st. So that's what you can expect to hear me talk about, and we shall see. No crystal ball. I've been completely wrong before, but I'm pretty sure that this is going to be how this plays out. But we'll see. All right, let's go over to earnings. We did have a couple of earnings out this morning. First of all, Groupon blew out some earnings, so expect that's one of the names we're going to take a look at going higher today. We also had T-Mobile, had nice, strong earnings. And Ventas, which is a real estate investment trust, had mixed earnings, which is great news. Remember, because there's we keep hearing headlines of how many people aren't paying rent. So at 10% unemployment, people aren't paying their rent. A third of the people are late on their homes, and the market screams higher. Predator, I appreciate your comment there. Yeah, let's go ahead and take the money that we've literally been printing for not that long, right? 4 or 5 months. I mean, it's been eye-watering. The numbers have gotten nice and big. Let's not be greedy. Let's just take this one on into the end of 2020, because could 2021 be worse? I suppose it can, so I shouldn't say that. So retract that from the tape. All right, that's all we're going to talk about for earnings. Let's come on down to the headline review for CNBC. We'll go around the world real quick. You see the futures are in the red. They got right after the jobs number was released. The Dow at least peaked up into the green and right back into the red. I think it'd be healthier for the market if we had a big red day, not just to be able to say I'm right. I think it's okay for the market to take a breather sometimes, and you have additional risk going into the weekend. So let's take a look at Europe. Pretty much mixed and not a whole lot in motion there. Take a look at Asia. Okay, down not quite as much as I thought. 10-cent Holdings again was down 5%. 10-cent Music, TME, was down 5%. So overall, not necessarily dragging the whole market down there. All right, let's take a look at our numbers from yesterday. What I would always point out to you is the VIX did actually increase yesterday. So you had an up day with an increase in volatility. That is not normal, right? That's why I keep saying we are set up for that big down day coming out of here. So we shall see how it all plays out. But certainly the VIX is what I would consider low in relation to the 30 number. And I think whenever we have that big red day and you see the markets just selling off, do yourself a favor and do what I do. You're going to log in and to the VXX and hit buy, and just to ride that train for a couple $1,000 on a trade. So that's what I wanted to point out there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bond market. Again, not a whole lot of movement, 0.541. That's just crazy on the 10-year. Let's take a look at oil. Still holding above 40. Everything's fine there. And then the precious metals, again, on fire day after day after day. Up, 2072, eases off the record. Yeah, good jobs number. Again, that's going to be negative for gold. If we have good jobs number, healthy recovery, all of that stuff. So keep an eye on it. I think the big money has been made. So if you're in it, congrats. If you're not, let's not chase it right now. Okay, let's go over to the main page again. We'll check those headlines out there. So 1.8 million new jobs. Again, that's good. From day one, and Predator, to talk to your point about how fast we've recovered. I've been on several interviews lately. I have another one today at 11 local here Central Time. And yeah, it's the American worker might go into unemployment, but there's from their primary job, but they're going to sit home and collect almost $50,000 a year. And guess what? They're also providing value in some other manner. There's an entire off the books market out there where people are doing cash jobs for everybody else. And, none of that stuff is tracked, but I'm telling you, Americans don't really sit home and pout. So that's the good news. That's how we snapped back. And, I think everybody has to reorient, and you have to do the best for what's you for your family. But I bet on the USA and Americans to be able to navigate that successfully. So there is a path that the market just continues to scream higher as we recover. But you're right. That just sure doesn't seem like it should be the case. All right, stimulus. Are we going to get it today? I would say 0 is your chance, because you would hear a lot more positive rhetoric than what we're hearing now. I think we'll get some political drama, standoff nonsense that will take it over into the weekend. And I would say that's where we get closing to the end of the day, and maybe that's when we get the big sell-off. I'm not talking huge. I'm talking a point, percent or two. But we've been waiting on this thing, and it's kind of stalling. So we shall see. All right. About the Trump's increased orders against, he says 45 days. We can scroll up there. I think we'll see it. Nope. You can go back there. Sorry. So the TikTok obviously very upset with everything that Trump is doing. There is a headline, I'm sure we'll come across it, where he said no more future sales to Tencent Holdings, which is what we're going to talk about today, which holds a lot of American companies, just a part of it. But yeah, kind of aggressive. So we shall see out there. And of course they're mad. So they're going to threaten legal action. I don't think anybody really cares. Okay. I see some TikTok stuff popping up in the comments. Ban on, good thing 14-year-old girls aren't voting, right? Yeah, you saw your marriage band. Good luck with that, right? Mine's silver. I can get literally like maybe $20 out of it. All right, so let's continue on in the headlines here. All right, don't really see much in there. The list, the international do not travel advise, it's an advisory, so almost a whatever headline. I hadn't seen that about the Russia offers the Philippines a potential vaccine. I would imagine that's probably just simply noise for them trying to flex on the United States and make fun of our 300,000 deaths. Okay, you can continue on down. Yeah, I do think the airlines are in trouble, even if they get the relief package. I think another 25 billion is what's expected, but I don't think people are going to be rushing back to fly. I just don't. All right, let's continue on down. There's your T-Mobile again with the big earnings beat. China economy strong. Hey, if you didn't see that explosion in Lebanon, go back and watch it. Literally, the two explosions looks almost like a detonation. I know there's been some talk about whether it's an explosion or a detonation, but I've seen some explosions in my day, kind of close up for a couple, kind of done a couple. But that was something like you don't actually see out of a normal explosion. So kind of crazy. All right, Sanders is back in the news for this one-time billionaire tax cut. I'm so against that. It's unbelievable, but that would be a way to fix a lot of problems if you just start sacking your billionaires out of billions of their dollars. So we'll keep an eye on that. I don't think it'll gain any traction. I think that's about as anti-American as you can get. If you think about, can the government do that? Well, listen up, boys and girls. The government of Greece, yeah, not that they're the upstanding citizen of the citizens of the world. They went and basically took like half of everybody's retirement accounts and said, yeah, we need that. Yeah, no crap. They did that. That was like actually done. I would hope we're not going down a road where someone would think that would be okay. But if you had the initials AOC and you were a young congresswoman, you might actually think that, yeah, why not? Let's just take all that money that they made here, courtesy of the United States. I don't know. That's some scary stuff. All right, let's go on down. Callaway Golf. I didn't catch that news. You know I like Callaway, but I am starting to sell out of it a little bit because it's almost $20, and we've made a ton of money. Let's see. Let's scroll down a little bit more. And that will do it for the headlines. All right, over to FinViz as we transition now from the opening market stuff now into the long-term investable themes. We're going to click on FinViz, and we're going to put in the ticker of TCEHY. This is Tencent Holdings. This is how, that's not going to come up here. Let's go Yahoo Finance real quick to get TCEHY. It is an over-the-counter stock, which is why you don't see it in FinViz. I should have known that. But there, basically, it is. This is a name we'll take a look at short. Click it up on another screen. I'm just going to check to see what the spot price was. It's down at 68 or so right now. So it's kind of hard of the envelope. Everything you could ask for out of a short today. So expect that. But when you look at it's a holding company. So what does that mean? They buy pieces of other companies. So it's almost like its own little mini mutual fund. They've never been listed in the US because that's why they're over the counter. And guess what? They don't care. We don't care. So when Trump's squawking about like Luckin Coffee getting delisted and other Chinese, nobody really cares. It's just a different market. But when you look at who they have, I learned about Tencent Holdings when Fortnite came out. Epic Games was the maker of Fortnite, and they're a private company, so I couldn't invest in that. But I did find out Tencent Holdings holds 40% of Epic Games. So they have made a ton of money. Let's go to the 1-year chart. We'll click on that. Yeah, boom. So 41 up to 72. That's got a long way to fall, especially with the U.S. In its with TCHY in its sights. No real dividend out there. They are a conglomerate, so it does have some pennies that roll in if you own it. But yeah, wow. They have a target there of, oh, never mind. That's disregard that. So that's your Tencent Holdings. We're going to switch over now to the Schwab Street Smart Edge. And Predator, you weren't here yesterday. I did announce Schwab's keeping the ThinkPipes platform. They're going to keep ThinkPipes, and they're keeping Thinkorswim for the retail side. They probably are not keeping Veo One. But as far as the Schwab stuff that we're kind of used to, ThinkPipes will now be available to Schwab folks. So good news. And the TD Ameritrade folks don't have to learn a whole new system. We shall see, because ThinkPipes is way better than what we're looking at right here. All right. So for our 6 names that we're looking at, that's Tencent. We already talked about that. And they pay that dividend just once a year because it's a little bit of pain and it's not much. So it's uncommon that you would see a stock that pays a dividend once a year, but there you go. Now you've seen it. All right. The one that's over to the right is TME. That is Tencent Music. They spun off from Tencent some time ago. I can't remember the exact time frame, but they closed at what, 657 there. They are down at 1588. That's just a straight short out of the gate this morning. So get your tickers set up and ready for those top 2 shorting out of the gate. All right, that combined with what I think, as I'm looking at the SPY, is also selling off a little bit, not significantly, but it is certainly trending down. So the next 4 names, you ever heard of these? Snapchat, Activision Blizzard, Spotify, and Tesla. Yeah, those are kind of interesting names. So things you learn every day when you do your research. Tencent Holdings owns 5% of Tesla. Wow, they own 5% of Tesla. I had no idea they were, and they bought it in 2017. So they have literally printed cash, just like the stock has. And you know my opinion on it, but my opinion doesn't matter because everybody else is making money but me on this stock. But yeah, it's run up huge. And Spotify, look at that chart, run up huge. So no wonder Tencent Holdings has run up huge as well. Snap, meh. Okay, it obviously had a huge run up of 5x from its lows from there, and Facebook is facing some advertising stuff. I don't think Snapchat would be any better. And then ATVI, basically not quite laughed off the COVID-19 thing, but it certainly went, maybe one landed one blow across the face, and then everybody went, hey, work from home environment is also the game from home environment, so let's get back into video gaming. And it has basically marched higher and not looked back. So why do I show you all of this? Well, it's not because selling Tencent Holdings, a sell-off in Tencent Holdings is not going to affect these names, but a sell-off in these names, which are all, you have to admit they're overvalued. They've been the market leaders, but if they drop down, you would also see a sell-off in Tencent Holdings. So you've got U.S. presidential pressure on Tencent Holdings. You've got 4 big, huge names out there that have all just been crushing it. So it's tough to think that Tencent can hold a 70 price target. They're down at 68.25, as low as 67 today. I think they sell off down in the low 60s for an easy 3R trade, which now that I've said that, I'm sure I jinxed myself. All right, that's all we're going to look at for the long names. Now we've got 10 minutes to open, so let's start looking at the short names. Leave Tencent Holdings right up there. That is my number 1 short. It is out of the gate. It is only traded, it's low volume, so 73,000 pre-market. This is one of these. You probably can't trade it pre-market And so if you get in and try to short it here, you probably can't. You have to wait for the market to open. I've run into that with Luckin Coffee, where I tried to get in a pre-market price and I couldn't. I cannot fully explain the interworkings of the over-the-counter market. Come back to me in a year and I might be smarter on that. But you're going to it's going to open around 68, 67 somewhere. So you literally want to have your trade ticker tab open. You want to have it populated with the short and get ready to hit send with the appropriate calculate your R. You're probably going to need a good dollar stop, even though normally you wouldn't have a big stop. You do want to let this thing flop around a little bit. So if you want to have that one ready to go, get it prepared. All right, TME is the other one. All right, TME is the other one. Welcome, Burner, from another faraway place. All right, we're talking about shorts. Burner, I didn't see when you popped up. Tencent Holdings have it ready to go. There's a million reasons why, which I just covered, but that is your paper or real trade of the day short. TME is the same thing. We're going to, it is traded almost 100,000, so we do have our numbers. I don't know what that percentage is, but it's going to be 4 or 5%, and basically it's going to be set up to sell off today. So have that ready to go. Trade ticker out, stops figured out. You will probably need a 40-cent stop. Should be safe is what I'm looking at, is the range of the pre-market right now. I'll get that up to you. So think 40-cent stop. Does it have a $1.20 to the downside? Yes, it does. Okay, some other names we're going to take a look out there. Workhorse, WKHS long. So there's the 6.3 billion. I got this from another investor this morning. The U.S. Postal Service truck contract for their electric vehicles is 6.3 billion. One of the major investors out there, which I want to say it's a Middle Eastern company, I want to say it's Saudi, pulled their bids. So that narrowed the competition significantly. If Workhorse gets that, expect Workhorse to go higher. It is gapping up, a little bit on that news. So it's an indirect headline type of thing, but I like it. We're going to watch that today. Many of us are in it long. So go Workhorse. All right, some other things long we'll take a look at. GRPN, which is Groupon. They blew out some earnings. So let's take a look at those numbers. Yeah, that's a rip your face off Friday kind of number, from 16 up to 21. What's that, 30% ish? So 34.7%. Can't touch that for a day trade unless you just believe. Now, what did Plug Power do yesterday? Yes, they were already up, I don't know, several percent, and it just went straight up out of the gate and ended up like 20% up yesterday. So it would have worked, but that's not the entry that I'm looking for. All right, TMUS is T-Mobile. Not a fan of this stock, but let's see if it's setting up off of earnings. It was at 108 up to 113, so it is gapping up there. Trying to pull the number, maybe that's 4% or so. We shall see. But yeah, that would, I don't necessarily think that's where it's going to get a lot of my money, because there are better names out there, but we'll see. We'll circle back to it. Dish is earnings. They had some low volume earlier, so we'll see if there's, so 15,000 shares, but they did beat earnings. So you think work from home, play from home, stay at home, Dish Network, all makes sense from a long-term thesis. So we'll look at that. Not a super big fan. KNDI. Candy Technologies are gapping up on low volume. Nope, they got the volume now. Don't see exactly why they are gapping up, but they are. So we'll circle back to them. I'm not going to take that trade without a little more information. And then the one that I'm excited about for the longs today, again, I expect the market to kind of roll red, even with the jobs number, but is BIIB. This is Biogen. And this is kind of a leftover headline from, a week ago, last week, maybe even earlier this week, where they had some good news about the Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's is just the worst thing ever. I mean, there's other things that are worse. I get it. But yeah, if we can do anything to delay / disrupt the Alzheimer's beast, and they have got the best news out there for trying to come up with something to treat or mitigate it. So look at that move up, 277 to 311. That's 12%. We're going to watch that long. That is a game changer if they can actually get it. Price point's going to be tough. So $5 stop. I mean, that's That's kind of crazy. So you may not really be up for that depending on your account size, but it's something I definitely want to watch. Okay, let's go around the tabs real quick and then we will get our chart set up. Silver, not going to touch. Those are all selling out. There's not a whole lot of movement there. Let's go to the next tab. Groupon, we talked about. Zillow marching higher. Housing has kind of been on fire. There's the Biogen headline again, quite a bit. We'll take a look at that. There's T-Mobile, just shy of our 5 to 10% gap and go strategy. Trade Desk, I'm a long time holder of that. Certainly love that name, but not really too. Let's actually click on that, see if that's an earnings. See if there's a notable earnings from Trade Desk. So 3.59, it's a hard day trade because of the price point, but I certainly love that. Okay, let's go to the next tab and see what we have short. Again, the two that I picked out were 10-cent holdings and TME. We shall see. Twilio has a, they've kind of gapped down. They have a stock offering, a secondary stock offering, but they've kind of gapped down to that price. So I don't think you're going to see more move out of it. OLED, let's go ahead and pull that chart and see what that's on. It's a little bit low volume. 186 closed down to 171. Notable earning guidance movers, it's in there, 2 cents. Okay, so they reported earnings per share of 2 cents and they expected 30 cents. That's not just a miss, that's a whiff. Let's keep that in mind. I like it. OLED short. I think actually that will be my third of the day that I'll be taking a look at. Okay. Alibaba, yes, let's click on that. That is probably just headlines from the anti-China play that we had from Trump. I did have it on my short list, but I would not short something that strong. Okay, let's move over to the next tab. Got 3 minutes to go, and then we'll get things set up here. A lot of low volume plays. Spartan Energies has the volume. Nope, not going to touch that. All right, let's go to the last tab. There's our Biogen. There's our Groupon. Can't really touch the Groupon, not me anyway. Okay, there's your Candy Technologies again. I don't, that was not a headline, right? Click down here, Candy. Yeah, we got nothing to go by. It does meet the numbers, but we shall see. Okay, all right, if you remember now, we're not doing our competition anymore. We're taking trades real time. So let's go over to our 4-chart system and we will go ahead and get set up. I have in front of you 10-cent holdings on the left-hand chart. The middle chart is TME, and then the right chart, instead of Biogen, let's go ahead and take a look at OLED short. So 3 shorts across the board. If you look over to the left at the SPY, you can see that the market, you know, it's off maybe 0.5%, but we're certainly overdue for a red day. All right, if you can back out the 10-cent holdings until just maybe 1 day worth, and same with TME, so you can get a feel for how far these have fallen. Okay, that's perfect. So that's what you need for, that's what I'll be calling the stops off of, and we'll zoom in on once we get to the actual open. As far as OLED, it is gapping up a little, or it's closing the gap there a little bit, which is good news. So I'm going to really focus on calling the entry for 10 cents. Remember, the line will go in at the open, and then we'll see the arrow. Have your trade tickers ready for both 10 cent and 10 cent music, and we'll draw both of those right away. I'm going to take them right at the open. So market order in right at the open, short. And then I'll give you the big stop here as it gets a little bit closer to the open. All right. Well, actually, let's do that now. For 10-cent holdings, let's go with a 68 to 68.5. Let's go with a 60-cent stop on 10-cent holdings. So do your math on your number of shares there. TME, we're going to go with a, let's go 40 cent. Both of those have the room to run, and we'll call OLED when we get there. All right, so 30 seconds to the open. For today's plays of the day, you see 4 screens on ThinkPipes. On the far left, we have SPY, so we can watch the market overall trend as the market opens. I'll refer to the other 3 panels as left, middle, and right. On the left panel, we have 10-cent opening, 10-cent holdings, again, gapping down off of the headline. We have in the middle 10-cent music, also gapping down off of the anti-Trump headlines. And then we have OLED, which is gapping down lower as well. So that's what we have for our 3 plays. Take the 10-cent holdings right now and 10-cent. So we'll draw that in there. You should be in this trade right now. And so we'll draw the opening points to those. All right, these are both shorts. So we'll get the arrows in there, and then we will drop down, and then we'll put in the stops. Just let OLED go for right now. We'll come back to it once we get everything set up here. All right, 10-cent holdings. I called a 60-cent stop, so let's get that set up higher. So 73, what's that? 68.53. If I did the math right there. Sounds good. So there's your stop limit. Again, you want to get that in first. We'll worry about ours later on. All right, everything's happy in 10-cent world with 150,000 shares, so nice volume there. All right, we use a 40-cent stop. So we'll, since it's already moved down an R, excuse me, half an R, we'll zoom out. We'll get that stop in at 1680. If we can get up there. All right, so we have our stop safely in for a 40-cent stop there. All right, I like both those trades. We're going to just zoom in and let them cook. Okay, so let's see. First R points. They're doing fine. I just wouldn't even worry about them right now. Almost to an R in TME. Let's watch the OLED trade. I like that it's backed up. It's almost backed up to even though. Click OLED over here again. I need to, on a different screen, I need to refresh my mind as to what we have. Gapping down on earnings. Apple supplier falls after, oh, that was the 2-cent earnings for 30 cents. So we're going to let the 10-cent stuff just fall. You can see a 1 there getting put in for the 1R for that trade. Very happy. Wow, OLED is flipped all the way positive. All right, maybe something came out in the conference call. I'm not going to take a trade in OLED. That is just way too strong. That is literally, look at that move higher, 170, 175. That's $15 move higher. That's just kind of crazy. So let's switch that right panel. I just want to check Workhorse real quick. This is part not really day trading, but just part seeing what's going on. So it dropped 17.20, about 40 cents, and now it's coming back. Meh. I thought it'd be going higher. All right, the names we had on our long watch list. Let's look at that BIIB. Again, this is your Alzheimer's type number. See if it would go higher. It's up at 11%. The market still red on the day. Not really doing a whole lot of significant out of the market. It's just kind of finding its way. We'll come, no, I can't do it. I don't think Biogen has the room to run higher because we would need such a big stop to actually make some money on that one. So let's get that off our list. KNDI, this is the one we did not find a headline on, or I can't remember it if we did. This was a long, it was kind of low volume. The volume's there now. Nothing of significance. If anything, it's working against us. So no trade there. Let's look at DISH, D-I-S-H. Okay, again, this was a long based off of earnings, that new work from home, play from home theme. It's not a bad entry, but it's only, zoom out a little bit on DISH. Market's starting to pick up some steam, closer to even over there. So it closed yesterday at 34.25, so that's the gap. Don't have enough conviction to take that trade delayed at all. All right, have we looked at T-Mobile yet from the open, TMUS? Again, this was a long. Ooh, zoom in on that. If anything, we'd have to say we missed it, but I'm curious as to, ooh, look at that. So T-Mobile from beating earnings, gosh, 113.30 all the way up to one. That's $2.50 move. That's an easy 3-hour trade. If you had taken it, I didn't. It wasn't high priority, and I'm not a big fan of T-Mobile, but it certainly would have worked from a trade perspective. All right, and did we check Groupon GRPN? I think we looked at it once. Let's look at it again. This would be the long. It had gapped up like 30. Oh man, that works all day long. It was up 30% pre-market. Yeah, 30% pre-market, and it's up 40% now. Can't touch it. Ship has sailed. But look at that thing go. So good call. That's not one that I was a big fan of, but somebody else sitting in the room was. So good job. That's all you get. All right. So let's check in back to our trades. 10 cent. The volume's starting to trickle off. I expected to see a lot harder sell there than what we've got. So we are up at 67.93. So was that 67.43 as an R? Is that math? No, 67.33 as an R. Yeah, it backed up a little. Not too concerned about that. I don't know who's buying into 10 cent holdings right here today. So we'll just kind of let that thing do its thing. If you look at the overall market now that we're at minute 6, if we can get a big red move down out of the market in the next like 10 minutes, then I think that would be very beneficial for our two shorts. All right, we taking a look at 10 cent music. If I have my math right, we're already past the 1 R point, I think. Yeah, we are. So you can go back, zoom in there. Maybe you cheat and put a 1 right there on the right side so we can see it. No, that's perfect. Yeah, it's trying to go higher. It's not going higher. That's going to continue to sell off. So our 3R point, 16.4 minus what, $1.20 would take us down to 15.2 is what we're hoping for out of the dropping down there. We'll see. Again, I like these. The market, a little bit of red in it. That's helpful. All right. Looking over at Groupon, up 40%. Groupon, really? All right. We're going to take a look at some other names out there. Put the VXX in there and see what the VIX is doing today. I have it pulled over here on another screen. I'm ready to take the VIX long at some point in time, but it's certainly not cooperating today. But if you see the overall SPY, if it gets red to the tune of like 1%, then you can just take the VXX long. So, all right, let's take a look at some of the notes while they're TME can pre-market. Yeah, if you got in at pre-market, good job. That's when I would have taken 10 cent and TME pre-market. So if you're going to take like 300 shares, just take like 100 shares pre-market, because you don't want to take a whole bunch of risk in case it doesn't work. And then check your spelling there. There you go. It's TCEHY. So 2 strikes for Perner on being able to spell 10 cent holdings. And then can't use the day trade power with those. So yeah, there's lots of there's lots of day trading rules out there as well. All right, explosion was crazy in Lebanon. Yep, Hero and Espo have large holdings of ATVI. You bet they do. All right, good stuff that people are throwing out there. All right, our trades are working. We're going to step away from the trades. Let's go ahead and go over to chart. We'll look at the bigger picture stuff. RVVTF, the psychedelic name, higher. DraftKings option, higher. Shroom F, that's a psychedelic. LCA, that's the Houston owners. GNOG, it's going to come out. It's that SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition Company type name. That's going to be an online gambling thing. So obviously it's trading with DraftKings. Workhorse up, DraftKings up, Clickstream up. Home Depot and Lowe's traveling right together, which they tend to do. If you want to look at stocks that are benefited from all this, look at those two. I pulled them up last night. I was trying to make a determination on which one I was going to trim, and it's like I don't even want to trim either of them. Facebook up after a big, almost 7% move yesterday, so that was pretty nice. Let's see, LCNB, Lebanon Citizens National Bank, on the way up. I like it. All right, let's switch over to red. See what we've got. Again, the overall market, the Dow's down 0.5%. NASDAQ and S&P down about 0.25%. All right, 10 cents, your big headlining number. Alibaba's down 4% again off that headline from Trump. NIO is the Chinese EV maker. Luckin obviously is going to get caught up in this, even though it is just a screaming buy. But don't buy more. We've got enough. Activision's caught up. We talked about that. Callaway Golf. Put ELY over here on the right screen. I'm going to see if there's a headline news or something. What's going on with Callaway? You would think of the PGA Tour starting today, the golf stocks would be up. Earnings snapshot. It's not leaping off the page for me, so I don't see it. GoDaddy down. It was up 7% yesterday, so that's just a reversion to the mean sort of thing. Okay, that's it. You can switch back to the long there. We'll go back to our trades over to the chart. So we're at 1R for 10 cent holdings. Let's see, about 1.8R. So again, I think you can just let those cook. So we will come back and revisit those. Very pleased with both those trades, easily into the money. Now to kind of wrap up the day trading thing, I know there's folks out there that don't like going into the red, so you can take your upper stop and go ahead and bring it right back down to your entry point. No problem at all. So for 10 cent holdings, if you want to bring it down to, you could even bring it down to like 67, 65. Right in here is where you could put your upper stop, so that way you're guaranteed to make an R on the day. For 10 cent music, you don't even have to bring it up to 16. It's not going to see 16 again today. You could put your stop here at 15.9. That's where you're guaranteed to make like 1.3. So that's it. Again, I'm not telling you to kill those trades. I say let them cook. Sit there and make money throughout the day, especially if we have a red Friday. All right, let's take a look at the chat and we can wrap that up. Talked about everything there. Don't see any questions, so I'm going to switch the screen over to, so keep those trades up if you're in them on your own screens. I'm going to switch to our screen here. That I went to the wrong one. All right, we're going to talk about our question of the day. So let me get my notes up real quick so I can cover it specifically. All right, today's question of the day is, what options do I have for my 401k? Well, there are several scenarios depending on whether you still work there or you have a new job or you went into retirement. And there's some other things that we're going to cover about the mechanics of such. Basically, the first thing you need to look at is, are you still working at the location? So if you have a 401k with your employer and you've worked there for, say, 10 years, 15 years, and you're not getting the returns you want, and you call somebody up and say, hey, I want to move this out from my employer. I want to be able to move it into Schwab. I want to use an advisor. Most of the times you cannot do that. You have to leave it there. There are some 401ks that allow you to have a personalized advisor go in and manage that for you. And in that situation, that advisor generally can reach in and use individual stocks, that sort of thing. But that's rare, and I think Southwest is one, Humana is another. There's a few names out there that actually let you do that. You'd want to contact your HR department and say, do I have any options for my 401k other than just the administrator that's on the account? So obviously you may not like the investment options that they're given to you, but you are literally stuck with your 401k at your employer, and whatever match they have, all those things, you have no control over any of that as long as you're working there. Now, when you're not working there anymore, you actually have some more options. So the first thing, though, is if while you were working for your previous employer, you took a loan out on your 401k, well, in that case, you cannot move it. You have to pay off that loan with your old employer first before you get what's called portability. So think about that as aggressively. If you know you're going to switch jobs coming up, you want to be aggressive about paying off that loan. Generally, you don't want to take loans out of your 401k. That's the financial planner talking, but life happens, and that is a bucket of money that you can use that has no cost other than you have to pay interest back to yourself, but you lose the portability there. So that's if you're not working somewhere and you still have a loan, you have to keep it there until you pay the loan off. Now, the next scenario I want to talk about is if you left your old employer and you're going to a new employer, then you have three options. You can leave your 401k with your old employer and just start a new one at your new employer under a different name, different account number, different administrator, and then you just have two accounts. That's fine. You can do it. And honestly, that's kind of the default version, or if people forget about it, that's what happens is they just leave these old 401ks and they're invested however they're invested and they generally don't look at it. So that's the first option, is leave it with the old employer. Second option is to take it to the new employer. Now, the new employer, you go to your new employer, you have to get set up with HR, you have to get your account going and started to be funded. So it can't be at a zero balance. So you start the funding for your new employer. And then once all that's set up, you reach out to your old employer and do a transfer into the new employer. So we'll talk about more exactly how the transfer mechanics work here in a little bit. The last option, which I would say is becoming more and more popular as people learn about it, is to transfer it from their old employer into an IRA, which again is technically an individual retirement arrangement per the IRS. Most of us say individual retirement account. If you have a 401k that has both a Roth and a traditional component, then you can roll that over, but you have to open two accounts with, say, Schwab, Fidelity, Vanguard, TD Ameritrade, whoever you want to use for your IRA. You have to open those accounts first, and you have to make sure that the names are right. So that's why if you're using an advisor, the advisor is going to say, send me your statement so I can check all your math for you and make sure that we're keeping money straight. But the advantages, so why would you move it to an IRA? The advantages are when you move to a brokerage like a Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard, you now have the whole menu of investments open for you. Meaning, I'm not trying to talk you into individual stocks, but if you want to use individual stocks, which, oh, by the way, that's what's in a mutual fund is individual stocks, so you don't need to be scared of them. But as you work your diversification and your investment philosophy, if you want to hold an individual stock like, I don't know, Amazon, that was down at $1,500 in March, you might have thought that was a pretty good idea to pick up a share or two. Even if you're not an individual stock investor, there are still some literal no-brainers out there for you to be able to buy some names. And of course, I would recommend you hold them for a long time because Amazon's not going anywhere. But by moving it to your IRA, then you have the option to do all those types of investments. Now, the next piece of that is, what if you already have an existing IRA? That's fine. It just moves right over. You don't need to open an account. If you have $50,000 in your IRA and you have $80,000 in your 401k, it simply moves. Same with the thrift savings plan. It simply moves over and it joins that. Now, people are always worried about tax consequences. Well, with a 401k and thrift savings plan or 403b, there are no tax consequences. Okay, so the holdings that you have in there and where you bought them, or whether you're up or down, all that is obviously very important to you, but in the big picture, it is completely irrelevant, because what happens when you move out of a 401k is it goes to cash. They sell all that stuff. There's no tax implications. It goes into cash, and then the cash transfers. Okay, same with the Roth, same with thrift savings plan. It's just money that moves, and then you have the option to reset it up however you want in the new account. So no, you don't have to worry about tax concerns. And a lot of people are like, I don't want to move it because of taxes. It's like, that's literally irrelevant. Now, the actual mechanics of it. So when you're sitting there thinking, how do I do this? I want to move my 401k. You call up your old employer, or you log in, or however you get access to your statement. Take a look at your statement and make sure that if it's a traditional 401k, then you want to open a traditional IRA, or if you already have one open, you want to say, okay, I want my money to transfer to them. You will call the administrator. Some people, like Fidelity, you can log in and actually do it all online, which is very nice. You simply log in, you give them basically two pieces of information. Yes, I want to roll over, and two, I want to roll over to my Schwab IRA, and then here's the account number. And it says, are you sure? And then it's going to say, are you sure again? Because once you hit that, then the money is going to move. It'll take about a week, but yeah, it moves pretty quick. So the higher edge, or the leading edge of the folks out there for doing, the cutting edge folks will move the funds electronically. You'll never see it in your mailbox. The other way is Sometimes you have to call them. You can't do it online. You have to call them. You have to verify yourself with 10,000 pieces of information, which we've all gotten used to. And then they're going to say, how would you like your check made out? So instead of looking silly on the phone, think of that ahead of time. You want it generally made out to your brokerage. So if you have a Schwab IRA, and so I'll use my own, Steve Ankerstar, you'll say, I want the check made out to Charles Schwab, FBO, for benefit of Steve Ankerstar IRA, and then the account number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not an actual account number, but that's the point. And then they will actually send you a check in the good old-fashioned mail. Now, if you have a $500,000 401k, that can excite you, but it's plenty safe. You get the old check in the mail. You are going to endorse the check for deposit only into Steve Ankerstar IRA 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you are going to put that. You can, if the local branch is open, which they have not been, you can actually walk it in and hand it to a person. Hopefully those days return, because most people are more comfortable with that. Otherwise, you simply put it right back in the mail and send it into whatever address you can find for mail-in deposits. So obviously that takes a time. Now, the gotcha is you have 60 days to make that rollover. So you can't let it sit in the mailbox and then put it on the to-do list with the other things you never get around to, because then you can face a penalty. So don't let the check sit. If you have questions, resolve your questions, either figure it out or call a professional or call Schwab, or call somebody to get those funds moving, but you don't want it sitting around. Okay. Once it goes into the new account, again, especially if it's a check, you want to monitor that new account either every day by either logging in or checking it on your app. And what you're looking for is that inbound transfer. And the last piece I will discuss with this before we close is sometimes you will see checks afterwards, and those are what's called residual checks. So you may have rolled over your 401k 6 weeks ago and everything's fine, and then you get a check for literally $4.29. That's a dividend that paid out to your old 401k. So, and then they're required to send that to you. If you did everything electronically, it'll just move electronically, so you don't have any worries there. So to recap, what options do you have for your 401k? If you're still working for an employer, generally you don't have any options. You might be able to put an advisor on your account. You'd have to call HR and ask. If you have a loan against your account and then you stop working there and move somewhere else, well, you can't take out that loan. You can't move that 401k until that loan has resolved. And then lastly, if you don't have a loan and you have a new employer, you can do one of three things with your 401k. You either leave it with the old employer, you move it to the new employer, or you transfer it to an IRA. So that's all we have for today's show. Please reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com if you have any questions. And thanks again for joining me. And here's to you fighting the good fight every day to be on time, on target with your financial goals.